Good evening. It is 7 o'clock. We are on January the 8th for the regular meeting of the City of Helotes Planning and Zoning Commission. Happy New Year to everyone, and I'd ask the commission secretary to call the roll, please.
Mike McLaughlin.
Here.
Joe Edmond.
Yeah.
Ron Haza. Greg Michelle.
Here.
I lost my place. Jason Whiteman.
Here.
Richard Hawk.
Here.
Jeff Wade.
Here.
Mario Rios.
Here.
We have Susan Dars from council and Susan Dars from staff. Susan Dars from staff and Alex from council. We do not have any citizens to be heard, so our first item up actually is you, Alex, to update us on the two items from the December agenda that we had, which was the 46th Street pizza sign and the Storage Mart sign.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was not present at the city council meeting that night that those two items were up for council. I was at my daughter's college graduation, had an excuse. She's also now gainfully employed, thank you. However, when I look at the minutes of the meeting, the wall signage for 46th Street was not on that agenda. So I don't know what the outcome of that one was because it was not on it's not in the minutes as having been on the agenda, and I've got Susan checking for that right now. The wall signage for the Storage Mart was approved exactly as recommended by Planning and Zoning, which I don't think there was much of an issue with there.
There was some conditional items, but they were.
Some small items, but it was fine. As you may recall, the pizzeria sign, which had already been previously made, was I think it was 40-something% larger than allowable, and that Planning and Zoning said, we'll let you have up to the 25%, but no more. And so I'm wondering what eventually happened, because it was not on their agenda for that night,
Right.
so I'm
Susan,
sure that one's still
do we have a
pending.
record of it? Like, I looked as well, and it wasn't on the agenda or the minutes.
Yes, I have that right. I'm checking. I'm waiting on an answer.
Okay.
Momentarily.
So the sign that is currently there now, is that the sign that they had come in for, or is that still a temporary?
I think that's
That's a
a temporary
temporary.
because it's a banner.
It's a banner? Okay.
It's a banner stretched over the right spot, and
Okay.
I don't know that it's gonna be, the banner is the size of the sign they wanted. I think they are allowed 20, and they were coming in at like almost 40,
Yeah,
and I think so,
okay,
because it's a small section in that strip center.
okay,
Thank you.
all right. So if it comes in, you get anything, let us know, but we'll forge ahead here with number 5 on our agenda, which is discussion and action on the minutes from the December 4th meeting, which you found in your packet. If there are any changes, edits, please call those to our attention. Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Joe. So the motion is to approve the minutes of the December 4th meeting as submitted. All in favor, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the minutes are approved. Pass that to you.
I have an answer.
You have an answer.
I do. The development has a master sign plan in place, and nowhere in the master sign plan does it specify the procedures for a variance. So we notified the applicant that a variance would not be accepted at that time.
Say that one more time.
There's a master sign plan in place for the building.
Right.
And in that master sign plan, there is no specifications for variance. So instead of accepting the application, we actually rejected it and notified the applicant.
So does that mean that it's silent about, so what does that mean? That they can have a larger one, or,
No,
They
that
cannot.
at this time they cannot.
okay, so the applicant's been notified of that?
Yes, and
Okay.
to my understanding, we've not heard anything since that communication.
So the master sign plan for that particular property requires them to meet city code and state code.
Yes, sir.
So if we've granted them the 25% over, would that still, by the master sign plan, be acceptable?
My understanding is that it's not part of the master sign plan. So I would imagine the sign plan would need to be modified to include that verbiage to allow that 25%.
Okay, so the applicant should, well, you
Was
made them aware,
rejecting.
yeah, talk to.
To the letter.
Yeah, got it. Any questions on that, anybody? All right, thank you for that information. We have item 6 tonight before us, which is our only agenda item, which is discussion and action on a request by Jorge Coronado for approval of a variance to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 51, commercial signs, projecting wall, hanging, or in or on windows, and 6671, permits, certificates, and approval required master sign plan for wall signage for Del Norte, Taqueria, and Pandaria, 11590 Golem Road, Suite 108. Susan, did you want to introduce this?
Absolutely. This applicant mistakenly applied to the city of San Antonio and was granted a sign permit. So, in good faith, when they realized the error, they then submitted an application for variance to the city of Helotes. What is up exceeds our code. The building does have a master sign plan that mirrors our code, so it does allow for a variance up to 25%. However, the current sign is 40 square feet. The maximum allowable per their linear footage would have been 20 square feet. If you chose to do a 25% variance, that's still, the current sign still far exceeds what would be allowable even with the variance.
And, all right, so let me ask you a couple questions, and I'll open it up to everybody else. Other signs at that facility that are in place right now have gone through the process here, as far as you were?
I cannot, they were either approved administratively through, my understanding is they were all approved administratively through the master sign plan.
Okay. And the master sign plan, which you guys included here?
Yes.
That predates everything, right?
Yes.
Master sign plan predates them even submitting to San
Yes.
Antonio? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody know why San Antonio?
Why would they approve it?
Just wondering.
No,
what-
sir.
did they-
Across the street.
Well, it used to be San Antonio, I think.
Well, it used to be,
Yeah,
right,
so-
but
so-
this used to be another country, so.
Yeah.
I mean, we need
Well-
to learn what our
They
boundaries.
Well-
check the check, you know?
Okay,
You might be asked for a passport.
let me open it up to questions about this.
If I'm reading the sign plan correctly, I believe it's dated October 15th of 2015.
Where are
If
you
I'm
seeing
reading,
that?
if I'm looking at the master sign plan,
Yeah.
which it looks like this, I believe it's dated 15.
But where?
In the
where?
bottom right-hand corner,
Bottom, which corner?
bottom right-hand.
Right above MSP.
Oh,
So that gives you a context of dates.
thank you.
It's pretty hard to read, but it's
Yeah, it looks like 10, 15, 15, yeah. Okay,
So I think the master sign plan basically pushes it to administrative approval rather than have to go through us. Like if we approve a master sign plan, then they can kind of streamline the process. So presumably, staff would have looked at all of these and they would all comply with the 1 square foot per 1 linear foot thing. And I presume that if somebody did ask for the variance, that it would have to come to us.
Yes, sir.
If it, even though it's under a master sign plan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, okay. It's a little frustrating, I mean, it's, different circumstances, but I mean, this is like the third one in a row that we've gotten where there's been some kind of error on someone's part, and we're kind of left to deal with a mess of a sign that's much too large.
Susan, am I correct that this is the same applicant? Yeah, it's the same applicant as the 46th Street Pizza?
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay, goodness.
Other questions or concerns? And did code enforcement do this, or did the business do this, come to us?
I am not sure. It was initiated through their online application for administrative part. I'm not sure what precipitated that online application.
So we have a situation here where if one gives the applicant the benefit of the doubt in the sense of they made a good faith effort to do this the right way and they're trying to correct it, you know, they were told by an authority that had no authority that it was okay. On the other hand, you can look at the master sign plan, and that would have been available to the applicant before any of this started, and if they had reviewed their own master sign plan, they would have understood what was permissible apart from any municipal approvals. So there's plenty of responsibility to go around on this one, depending how people wish to pursue it. Richard?
It strikes me odd that a few months ago, when council wanted to take over a lot of our responsibilities, they used the example that city of San Antonio was so good at doing signs. I just think it's ironic that it comes back to haunt us.
So,
Anyway,
unfortunate situation, and this apparently has been, if I recall, it was September when this went up, so, or when the approval came through from San Antonio.
how much over is it?
Twice.
It's twice as large. Yes, Ron?
You know, it doesn't look bad, but if we let it go, we will be overwhelmed with,
Yep.
you let them do it.
Yep.
And I think in this area around Shanefield and all that it's gonna be these types of establishments. So there's gonna be lots of the establishments, meaning the small storefronts and strip centers type of thing.
And they'd like the biggest sign they can get.
How do people feel about the 25% overage is only a couple feet? Yeah. I mean, the complicating thing here for me personally, as I think about it, and I've always hewed closely to our code, is although they went to the wrong place, they thought they were doing everything right. So admittedly, the master sign plan was there, I recognize that, but I wonder if they have a
Mr. Chairman,
recourse with the city, with the city of San Antonio, you know, the costs associated with all of this. It's unfortunate. Michael, go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure which came first, the pizza or this place, but if it's the same group of people, at one point, you know, they knew.
Don't know.
Well, it seems, I mean, to try to give them somewhat of the benefit of the doubt, I mean, clearly there's paperwork in here from the city of San Antonio. They clearly did submit it to them. And San Antonio really should have caught this. I mean, that's shame on them for, you know, I can't imagine they'd try to, you know, code shop, as it were. I think that's pretty hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Though ultimately, I suppose, the master sign plan is what's in place at the outset, right? And it's the owner's and applicant's responsibility to be familiar with the sign, what's allowable, just as they are with every other aspect of their property. Yes, Michael?
Mr. Chairman, I think over the years, it's one thing that the city's always been very diligent with is signs. Even, you know, another tangential story is, you know, safety as police. We've been, you know, we pride ourselves on our police, pride ourselves on the way our city looks. Those are kind of the foundational, couple of the foundational things that we've always had. We've, you know, the council and the Planning and Zoning Commission have gone to great lengths to have code that's workable for people to, you know, help them along. And we have tools to help them go a little bit outside and show good faith and that type of stuff. But something like this is, why you can't really say where the error happened. It did, and consequently, it's a sign that's well outside of what any of us in any helping manner would be able to approve or should approve. You know, at some point, you have to say, well, this is our city, this is the way we do it.
Sure. I agree with everything that Commissioner McLaughlin is saying. As a business owner, I somewhat sympathize with them. It doesn't look bad. Unfortunately, they've got a very large name. Trying to fit that whole name into a 2-foot by 10-foot sign, or 2.5 foot by 10 foot would be the 25-foot, be the 25% addition. You know, it would be difficult, But unfortunately, I completely agree with Commissioner McLaughlin that we've made these ordinances and gone over them several times, and it took us almost a year to redo that sign ordinance last time, and, you know, it's kind of unfortunate
Yeah.
for the steps of things that were done, but I wouldn't go for anything over the 25 square foot.
Additional discussion, comments, or a motion?
I agree with everything you agreed with.
Say again?
I agree with everything he agreed with.
Okay.
I think that's,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'll move to recommend denying the request by George Coronado for approval of a variance to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 signs, Section 66-51 commercial signs, projecting wall hanging or in or on windows, and 66-71 permit certificates and approval required master sign plan for wall signage for Del Norte, Taqueria, and Pandaria located at 11590 Gulm Road, Suite 108, Helotes, Texas. More particularly described in the county records as property ID 1210352.
Is there a second?
I'll say,
Give it to you, Ron. Further discussion, Mike?
No, I think, like I said earlier, I think we try to bend when we can bend. I think we just, that was kind of a breaking bend, you know, that should we do that, or bridge too far, whatever cliche you want to use. We have to say enough.
Ron, anything? Others?
I'll just say that I don't approve of just completely denying the whole request, that I would give them the 25%.
Is not the motion though, but. I would just say for my part, I'm uncomfortable with how this played out. The master sign plan is plain and is what it is. I would hope that staff or council might reach out to their counterparts in the city, because I think San Antonio did a disservice to the city of Helotes, and they did a disservice to the applicant. That could have helped address this much earlier.
Before it's built,
process.
right.
That said, the motion is to recommend disapproval of the request by Jorge Coronado for approval of a variance to Municipal Code of Ordinances 6651 and 6671 for wall signage for Del Norte, Taqueria, and Pandaria at 11590 Gulm Road, Suite 108, Helotes. All in favor of the motion signal aye.
aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. So the motion is approved, which is to recommend disapproval, which will go before city council this week, Susan?
Yes, sir, on
This week.
Thursday.
And that concludes our agenda for this evening. Ron, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, will we adjourn?
Is there a second to adjourn? Michael got that. All in favor of adjourning, signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we stand adjourned, 7:18.